What is up, guys? Welcome to the Edge DFS. We are talking Showdown. Rams, the defending champions, hosting the Buffalo Bills. And boy, we are close, Ellie. We are super close to the first game of the season. I'm super excited. It feels like it takes forever every single year, but all of a sudden it's just here, right? I mean, I always feel like I've waited all off season, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, I'm like, wow, the first game is like this week. It's slow but fast, you know?
I feel like this was even more excruciating of an offseason for the NFL simply because, like, you know, the Suns too, like as Suns fans, we had to sit here and deal with this Kevin Durant bullshit for, you know, since what, May 13th?
Yeah.
So anyways, you know, I'm just ready for football season to start, man. I'm excited for this game. I'm really excited for Rams Bills.
I look, Bills I think are gonna win this game convincingly. It doesn't really matter. It's the first game of the year. I think we all know that. There's 17 games. So anything can happen. It just all depends on who's hot at the end of the year. But I really don't like the Rams' chances this year. That's just my opinion. Maybe I'm just a hater because I'm a Cardinals fan. That's probably what it is. But at least I'm being honest. So, Ellie, what are we doing? What are we doing next here? We're going to talk about injuries, right? You want to talk about injuries?
Yeah, let's talk about injuries. I think we have a pretty important one to discuss. I mean, we're still a little bit earlier than probably our normal shows throughout the season. I kind of like doing them on Tuesday nights, though, so it works out best. But we need to be paying attention to the Van Jefferson news, right? Is that what you got? Is that? Well, first, I don't think I saw anything else, really.
Well, okay, so I was wrong. I blanked there for a second. Basically, what I was going to tell people was we had a whole, like, very early version of this show that we just were kind of chatting and kind of going through it, and it was basically a practice show, but it was a good show. I really liked it. So if you wanted to hear a little bit more about that, if you wanted to like do a little marathon before, go check that out. I'll pin it up here right now. Come back to us and check us out now, because we have a little bit more news about a guy like Van Jefferson. So this whole information here is basically the same. I think the spread moved by a half point up depending on where you were looking. All the same information. Basically, the ownership is similar, although I tried to update ownership, but the site was down that I was using, so that didn't work out too well. But 52.5 over under. This seems like this is going to be a pretty offensive heavy game. We both know these offenses are pretty impressive. The biggest news here is going to be Van Jefferson. So it looks like Van Jefferson is doubtful. From what I can tell, some places has him as questionable, some has him as doubtful. I don't know if you can read that, but there's really no one else to talk about. Isaiah McKenzie looks like he's going to play, which is kind of big news as well on the other side of the ball. But Van Jefferson being out really opens up the door for Ben Skowronek and Tutu Atwell. Now, Tutu Atwell had no catches last year as a rookie, and Skowronek did actually kind of start after, I think it was after the Woods injury. So Skowronek does have some starting experience, but he's not a kind of guy that I would heavily lean on, but they gotta throw the ball to somebody. I mean, you got Cooper Kupp, who's probably gonna get friggin' 15 to 20 targets like he always does, and now you got Allen Robinson. But who else is gonna be there after that, right? So, are you interested in any of these guys like Skowronek and Tutu Atwell, with the fact that probably Van Jefferson's not gonna play? He's probably about 1 or 2 week injury.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't mind getting any of the pass catchers, man. These are both sides of the ball. You're gonna have prolific offenses, and especially when there's injury concern, I think it really opens up some value in those guys who are probably gonna be 200, 1,400. We'll see what price they are and how the builds work with them, and I think we can make a better decision from there.
I think Skowronek's going to be popular, and I think he's going to really help you with your builds. But even a guy like Tutu Atwell, or basically the way you kind of be a little bit different is maybe a backup tight end, maybe one of these other wide receivers that we'll mention here in a minute. Maybe sprinkle them in as a little bit more. But Skowronek, I think, is the safest bet if you're looking for a guy that's going to be the third wide receiver on a team where they're probably obviously going to try to lock down the top two guys. All right, so let's just get right into this breakdown, man. I want to try to make this as quick a show as possible. We usually kind of ramble a little bit, but hey, it is what it is. Let's get to the breakdown. All right, so I'm going to start off here with quarterbacks. Give us a like, guys. We really appreciate it. Our goal in likes for this video, let's get to 50. What do you think, Ellie? That's a reasonable number, right? For the first game, let's get to 50 likes.
We can get 50.
I think we can do that. So right now, help us out. Hit the like button, and shit. If we suck and you don't like it, you can unlike it at the end. How about that? All right. So Josh
That's
Allen,
fair.
12K. Obviously going to be probably the most popular, if not like neck and neck with Cooper Kupp. 12,000, and you have Matt Stafford at 10.8K. What we talked about in our last show about this was you're probably going to have to make a tough choice between one or the other here. It's going to be hard to get Allen, Stafford, and Kupp in a lineup unless you kind of punt multiple times and then go like medium salary at captain. So, Ellie, what are your thoughts here? I'm not going to get too deep into this. We know, look, these guys are both good. Stafford is not injury prone. Well, he does have a little bit of a shoulder, or no, it's an elbow injury. A little bit of slight elbow injury. I don't. They seem to think it's not going to really affect him too much. But if it's me, if I had to choose one, obviously I'm choosing Josh Allen because he's only $1,200 more. It should have been a bigger gap in my opinion. But Stafford last year, he started out. He was turnover prone. So what are your thoughts here, man? How do we handle both these quarterbacks with all these expensive guys that we're going to need to try to fit in?
I think we handled it on the last show. The too early look probably the best. And until I have any other reason, I think that the play here is just to choose which one you want and build stacks accordingly. I don't think you're going to be able to play both. And I think a lot of casual fans who are playing for the first time are going to try building with both, right? Everybody's going to try and jam in the most obvious players. So I think getting playing one quarterback and not playing two is going to be some immediate leverage. If you want to get real crazy, if you're running a 3-3 stack, you might even be fine running without Josh Allen and Matthew Stafford. But that's probably just crazy talk, and only if you really like the build.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing to note here, if you're going to put in either of these guys as captain, obviously it's a great choice, especially with Josh Allen. But with a guy like Josh Allen, I would be more likely to not be forced to have to put in multiple pass catchers with Josh Allen because he's going to get you the rushing yards. You got a guy that could potentially run in 2 touchdowns here. And if you have him at captain, you might only need like a Diggs or a McKenzie or a Knox or something in the flex, and focus in on other guys if possible. But with Matt Stafford, if you're going to put him at captain, you got to put in Kupp and Allen or Kupp and someone, Higbee or something like that. You got to have at least 2 pass catchers in the flex, right?
Yeah, I actually have a pretty interesting build idea now that I said fade both quarterbacks or fade one of the quarterbacks. I think you might be able to do like a 1-5 with Josh Allen as your solo
Oh, there you
captain
go.
from Buffalo, and then run it back with Stafford and literally whatever you want from there. So
All right. So who do you want to start out with, running backs wise?
let's start out with Buffalo. I think that's the most interesting piece, right?
Yeah. All right. So go ahead, take it over, bud.
Yeah, man. So you got Devin Singletary at 7K, Zach Moss at 3,000, and James Cook at 2,800. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not really excited about any of these guys here. I think they're all priced fine. Zach Moss might be a little bit more expensive than I'd anticipate for somebody who's looking at third string work, most likely.
Mm-hmm.
And I do have a little bit of interest in James Cook at 2,800. He's probably going to be used as a little bit of a change of pace back. He should get involved in the passing game a little bit. So we all know how those PPR points are valuable. But again, I think that the question is do we play him over Ben Skowronek at 1,800? So that's $1,000 savings we'll get to at wide receiver. But I don't mind James Cook. Other than that, I'm probably not touching any of these other guys.
I mean, Singletary to me is scary because we all saw him really step up towards the second half of the season. I mean, he was splitting snaps with Zach Moss. We didn't even know who really was the starter. It was a
Right.
complete, it was kind of a joke to kind of guess who was going to get the reps, but he clearly turned into the number one guy. Now, does the team love him so much that they're going to not want to try out a guy like James Cook and see if he's the next guy that they really want to use? I don't think they love him enough to not try anybody else out. So I really do like James Cook at 2,800. Um, I mean, look, twenty eight
I
hundred
do have one more
dollars.
thing.
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, the only other thing that I want to is right now the depth chart has 4 running backs listed for Buffalo. I like James Cook again at 2,800, but if they actually go into with a fourth active, it's Taiwan Johnson.
Taiwan
I don't know if
Jones.
he's in the player pool. Or
Taiwan Jones.
Taiwan Jones, yeah.
Yeah, 200
Yeah,
bucks.
he's still listed on the depth chart. If he's active, like he may be some interest just because of that price, but that also mucks it up a little bit more. I'm going to be paying close attention to the inactives because
Yeah.
4 running backs to go into a game with is kind of crazy.
I don't think Taiwan Jones will be active unless he's getting reps on special teams or something. There's no reason. And what we brought up last week was Duke Johnson was cut. So now to me that clearly makes Devin Singletary number 1 and James Cook number 2. Where does Zach Moss fit in? I don't know. It's going to be a crapshoot with that. I have no clue. But if I had to choose one guy, James Cook at 2,800 because of his upside and just we don't know. And he looked pretty damn good. I mean, freaking Dalvin Cook's brother, even if he's half as good as him, they're going to want to try this guy out. All right, let's move on to the other side here. Neither of these teams are fun to talk about at the running back position, but Cam Akers 8K, I don't know, man. I don't know, man. Take it over.
Yeah, man. Cam Akers 8K. Just not feeling that price tag. I don't mind Darrell Henderson at 4,800. I feel this could be a 45-55 split between the two, to be honest with you. And Darrell Henderson at half the price is pretty nice considering that. But again, like I'm just not high on either side of these backfields. I really just I don't see many rushing opportunities, right? Unless the Bills jump ahead by like 21 points or something, I can't see them just running the ball all game. Should be the Josh Allen, Matt Stafford show tonight.
Yeah,
Or Thursday night.
I mean, Cam Akers, to me, he's coming off of a major injury. He came back early last year, so I'm going to give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. But everyone seemed to just be all up on him as far as, wow, this guy's looking great. He looks fast. He looks amazing. And then you look at, 17 carries for 55 yards, 24 carries for 48 yards. He did absolutely nothing. He did nothing.
Yeah.
So until I see him actually prove that he actually has that burst and he's confident after coming back from an injury like that, I'm just not going to play him. And if Cam Akers comes out and absolutely crushes this week, hey, I'll take my L and I'll move on to the next game. But I would rather not play a guy at 8K that I can't really trust to actually do much. We have so many expensive guys on this slate that I cannot afford to put Cam Akers in at 8K because I would rather get the quarterbacks. I'd rather get Diggs. I'd rather get the two wide receivers. There's multiple wide receivers on each team that I want. So I'm going to be fading Cam Akers. Hey, spoiler alert. Darrell Henderson, man. I actually really like him because I honestly agree with you. I think it's like a 55-45 split at this point. Darrell Henderson, as long as he stays healthy, he crushed last year. I think he did pretty good for what he was asked to do. And this year, I think Henderson might overtake that. That's just my thoughts on it. Let's go over to wide receiver. Let's start with the Rams here. Ellie, Cooper Kupp, 12.4K. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, I think the question is are you going to play him a captain like everybody else? My answer is going to be no. I think that there's a world in which you can not play Cooper Kupp as well. I mean, you can capture the entire offense with Allen Robinson and maybe whoever the backup wide receiver is and Matt Stafford, and you still would be able to afford to get to Allen from there. So, look, Cooper Kupp. He's Cooper Kupp. He's probably going to be one of the top 5 fantasy players again this season. So play him if you can, and if you like your builds with him at captain, just find a way to be unique somewhere else. Um, I I think my favorite play here is obviously Allen Robinson at 6,200. Man, I think you can put him at captain. Um, I think you can lock button him. I say that so just so everybody knows, I did play Allen Robinson all season last year as well. Allen Robinson is a hill that I'm willing to die on. 6,200 is not probably an appropriate price for somebody with a MVP with a Super Bowl winning quarterback. So
Yeah.
love Allen Robinson, man.
And he's
Jefferson,
he's a top 10 wide receiver with a good quarterback. I mean, he's proven that fantasy wise. So
yeah, I agree with you, man.
He's got a straight up reset at this point, but he's half the salary of Cooper Kupp. So I'm not saying don't play Cooper Kupp. I agree with you. I probably not going to get much Kupp at captain, but Allen Robinson at 6,200. there's a range of outcomes where Allen Robinson outscores Cooper Kupp in this game. I mean, you have a whole offseason to game plan against the best wide receiver in the history of fantasy, or almost, he had one of the best years ever from a wide receiver last year. Don't you think the Bills are going to try to stop him? But can they?
Yeah,
I mean, nobody can
exactly.
almost.
Yeah, we saw that. We saw plenty of that. And I mean, the Bills couldn't stop anybody. We saw that in the AFC Championship game, right?
Yep.
Sorry, too soon. Yeah, and then the next important piece is right, Van Jefferson. If he plays, I have no interest in him at that salary. If he doesn't, then Ben Skronik at 1,800 is nice. Or whoever they end up leaving as active. I mean, Tutu, Atwell, Lance, McCutcheon. Literally don't care if they're priced there. I'll have some exposure to them.
Yeah, I think you got to spread out. Everybody's going to go with Skowronek, especially when you hear the news about Van Jefferson being out, which I think he will be. We'll get that Twitter alert, you know, when inactives come out, and then everybody's going to say, "Oh, who's playing instead of Van Jefferson? Oh, Skowronek. I know that name. I've seen him last year," and then they're going to jam him in at 1,800. But look, Tutu Atwell, McCutcheon, we don't know how they're gonna, like, we don't know how many snaps these guys are gonna get. McCutcheon at $200, all you need is like 3 receptions and 50 yards, and that might be enough for you at $200 if you're going to jam in a popular captain. You know, McCutcheon might be less than 3% owned because everybody's going to go to Skowronek, you know?
Well, and you know, going from Skronik to McCutcheon might be the difference between going from you might be able to bump up from I don't know, Cam Akers to somebody else. Maybe you're able to get Matt Stafford now in your lineup with Josh Allen.
Yeah.
So
Or
like
more
there's
more
other
likely,
opportunity from that.
yeah, and sorry to interrupt, but more likely it's going to be, instead of getting a kicker, now you can get a you know, a Higbee or something, you know, something like that.
Exactly.
You know, and that might be worth it because you know, Skowronek and a kicker, now you're really hoping you're hoping to get real lucky. But like a decent tight end and McCutcheon, hey, all you got, you're punting only at one position. Now don't go jamming McCutcheon into 100% of your lineups and then get pissed when he doesn't catch anything. Like, it's a risk. Don't get me wrong, but $200,
Right.
It's worth a try. And I'm going to be over the field probably 15 to 20% on him because he has a lot of upside. All right, let's go.
A zero from Ben is not the same thing as a zero from a $200 guy. Let's just put it that way.
Totally agree, man. Totally agree. All right, so Bills, Stephon Diggs at 9K. It seems a little criminal. I mean, I get it. You can't have everybody at 10K plus, but Stephon Diggs is kind of the guy that I think that he has the highest floor, and he's still reasonably priced, right?
Yeah, I love Stephon Diggs at 9K. He should be higher. I think they priced him there just because I don't know. I actually have no idea why they priced him at 9K. He should be probably $3,000 more than Gabriel Davis at minimum. I don't think I'm going to be getting to any Gabe Davis simply because Stephon Diggs is that cheap. I think if you can get Cup and or Robinson, Allen and Diggs, I think you got a pretty solid core. So that's where I'm going to be building. I'll be kind of fading Gabe Davis, I guess, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, Gabe Davis can have a breakout season, obviously, but you know, the huge game he had, the last time we saw him, he had an incredible once in a lifetime type game. And I think, you know, I think the recency bias on him is going to really inflate his ownership. He's only 10% less owned than Stephon Diggs in the flex. I think that's ridiculous. So I might stay away from Gabe Davis at 7,200 because he's right in that price range where you're going to have to make a tough decision with the last 2 spots, or you're going to have to really pay down at captain. And I'd rather just kind of be under the field on him. I'm just not convinced. I mean, we loved him last year, and I always tried to get him in because nobody cared about him. Nobody gave a shit about him, and he barely got any ownership.
Like 1,800.
Yeah, and he got almost no ownership.
Yep.
So Jamison Crowder. Go ahead, bro.
No, I was just gonna say, look, Jamison Crowder at 5K. I think he's a little bit interesting just because I think he's been banished on the Jets. I think he's a much more talented receiver than a lot of people give him credit for because of that. And he did great while he was playing for the Phoenix Suns. But 5K is just a little crazy for me. I still think that's a bit too high. I think I'd rather go with the tight end on the Rams. I think it's about the same price, maybe 5,600.
Yeah.
Just because there's going to be more targets to go there. But I do like Isaiah McKenzie. I think he's an interesting pivot off of Gabriel Davis for much cheaper, and he really is the true number 3 receiver,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Jamison Crowder was just added over the offseason. Isaiah McKenzie's that hatchet, that Swiss Army knife that they will run end arounds with, that they do all
Hmm.
the crazy crap with. And at 2,400, you're gonna have a little bit of kick return duties. So I like McKenzie. I don't mind Crowder, but I don't know if I'll be getting there.
McKenzie's in his second year, and they try to utilize him a decent amount last year. He didn't have the greatest year ever, but he's in his second year right now. He's clearly the number one guys at slot receiver wise, and I don't know how much Jamison Crowder is going to get in the game. You probably see him a decent amount, but at half the salary, basically. Isaiah McKenzie's going to get more snaps, most likely. And I can pretty much guarantee you right now, you're going to see one trick play with him. You're going to see an end around. You're going to see a draw. You're going to see something weird with Isaiah McKenzie. And most likely that's going to happen in the red zone. So for me, all you need is a touchdown and a couple receptions for McKenzie to really pay off at 2,400. I know we were talking about Skowronek at 1,800. There's no comparison. If I have to jump up $600 to go with McKenzie, I'll do it 99 out of 100 times. So what about Shakir here? Is he worth a random bullet at $200?
Yes, I like Shakir. He's going to be the starting punt returner. I know that's not too crazy, but he also is probably going to be the 4 wide receiver, right? I know Jamison Crowder is seen as one of those top guys, but again, he's still getting familiar with the offense, with the team. You don't bring in a rookie, or Khalil is a rookie, I'm pretty sure. You don't bring in a rookie to just sit there, right? He's an explosive player. This is an explosive offense. They're going to try and get people involved. And look at that, 5 of 5 targets for 92 yards. Did I read that right?
Yeah, you did.
I mean, that's not terrible for preseason, and that's where you want to see your guys shining, especially these rookies who are going to be playing 4th and 5th string wide receivers. So, $200. Again, it's if he gets a 0, um, and Ben gets a 0, you're doing better by having Shakir.
Yeah, exactly. If I had to choose one $200 guy, it'd definitely be Shakir, and I might end up at 15% with him overall exposure. If I'm doing, I don't know, maybe I'll do 100 lineups or something like that. I'm gonna have him spread out quite a bit. So tight end, Ellie. Let's start with Buffalo here. Dawson Knox at 6,800.
Yeah, I think he's interesting. If you want to get a couple lineups with him and captain, I think that's probably the best way to go. I think he's very touchdown dependent, so he's going to get maybe 2 to 5 fantasy points, or he's going to get 25 with 2 touchdowns. So I think if you like, hey, look at that, that was off the top of my head too, right? So if you like him, throw him in at the captain spot. Otherwise, I don't feel like you need to reach. Flex play just isn't where I'm going to have him. Tommy Sweeney at $400. Again, that is interesting just because they're going in with only 2 tight ends. If he's going to get any time on the field, him playing 5 snaps, getting 2 catches for 8 yards is 2.8 points at $400. So again, I would rather play a little bit of him as opposed to a bunch of Ben Skowronek.
OJ Howard was cut, so that's the reason why
Yeah,
a guy like Tommy Sweeney is important now. OJ Howard got picked up from shit, I don't remember who, but
Texans.
the Texans, yeah. Sweeney, $400. I mean, look, last year, this is a source, trust me, bro. But last year, the tight ends on Showdown were they always crushed almost every time. For whatever reason, on these Showdown slates, tight ends did well. So a guy like Tommy Sweeney catching a touchdown is not out of the realm of possibilities. And throwing him in at 10% ownership, or well, he's going to be less than 3% ownership. But for me, I'll probably have about 10% or a little bit more exposure to him. All right, other side of
Right,
the
guys,
ball
this
here.
isn't the Patriots, right? We're not talking about the Patriots. We're talking about 2 very prolific offenses. So if you want to take random dudes that are going to see the field, that they're they're probably going to have an opportunity to score.
Yeah.
So um, so we got the Rams up Tyler Higbee at 5,600 and Bryson Hopkins at $200. You got me?
Yeah, I got you, bro. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. I lost connection or something. All right. Anyways, we got Tyler Higbee at 5,600 and Bryson Hopkins at 200. I don't mind Tyler Higbee at that price, 5,600. I think he's also an interesting captain play. But again, I think we're in the same discussion as the Dawson Knox conversation, right? I think he's probably better off as a captain as opposed to a flex. But given his price tag, I don't mind getting him into the flex. The reason why I'm a little bit more focused on Higbee, as opposed to Dawson Knox on the other side, is because I expect Matt Stafford to uh focus on his top guys, right? He has Allen Robinson, he has Cooper Cup, and he has his number one tight end. Their backup is not going to see the field. I don't even know his backup's name, right? He's gonna Bryson Hopkins is probably only going to see the field when blocking plays or when they're running two tight end sets. You're not carrying all those tight ends into the game, so that means they must trust Higbee. Now, looking at Bryson Hopkins again, at $200, these guys are worth playing because their upside is damn near infinite. If he gets a zero, he gets a zero. It's not the same thing as Ben Skronik. But I think I may like Shakir a little bit better. And
Yeah.
Everett can get hurt too, dude. That's why we saw so many random tight ends for them last year. So I don't know. I'm still on the fence. I like Higbee at 5,600. I said Everett. God damn.
Yeah, close enough. He's on the Chargers now, I think, right?
Yeah, he is. Oh, by the way, isn't getting much love. Like,
No, in best ball, he's
has a
not getting
much
love
better
at all.
quarterback,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
So Tyler Higbee is always a guy that terrifies me because I hate playing him because he gets you 2 fantasy points. He'll also get you 25. It's the exact same thing with Knox. Now, I think Knox actually has like a potentially like a top 5 tight end fantasy wise. I think he has that upside. I don't think Tyler Higbee does this year. But a guy like Tyler Higbee, I would not be surprised if he scores 2 touchdowns in this game and I got like 5% of him. And then I just close the laptop and I end the night. So you're going to have to make an interesting decision with a guy at 5,600 because you got Cooper Kupp at captain and you got a couple of quarterbacks. You got Diggs. You're going to have a hard time getting Tyler Higbee in there. So you're going to have to make a decision on which one of these other studs are you going to sit down, or you're gonna have to go with a $200 guy, and that scares me all the time. That's why I usually never get to Higbee, because if you look at his salary here, he's pretty much right around the same salary at all times. I mean, look at that: 52, 54, 48, 52. The highest he's gotten recently is 7,200. So he scares me, but I'm gonna have to try to make a point to jam him in. So don't forget about a guy like Higbee. He's around 20% owned. I might go slightly above on him, because I know he can hurt. I know he can hurt you. Kickers and defense. Let's just chat quickly about this. Kick his ass Seabass at 4K. Matt Gay 3,800. We're talking about a game indoors for the most part. Every time I just don't have anything to say about kickers. Their price is gonna be inflated in this game, big time. They're both around 25% ownership. And the only reason why their price is inflated is because everybody's expensive, and you're going to have to get a lot of guys in, and you expect to see a guy like Matt Gay in the last spot of a lot of lineups. So if you can pivot off of some of these kickers and go with a Skowronek or go with some of these other cheaper guys, your lineups are going to instantly be different. I feel like I might fade the kickers altogether in this game with a 52.5 point total. I mean, it's the first game of the year, so you never know how rusty these offenses are, especially with only 3 preseason games. It's sort of it's uncharted waters because a lot of these teams are just saying screw the preseason. Let's treat the first few games as preseason almost. So maybe a lot of these drives die in the red zone and you get a couple extra field goals. Me personally, I think it's going to be a higher scoring game, lots of touchdowns. So my game script is calling for me to fade these guys, and I probably will. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think you can play one if you want to. Don't play both kickers for God's sake. But I'll probably be on the side of fading. And when we get there, like when we get to the lineup build, we can show why it makes sense. I mean, 4,000 for a kicker, you can get Skronik and Shakir for what, like 2K,
A
and then
thousand off, yeah.
literally play all the studs. So
Yeah. Yeah. All right, so defense, Bills defense 4,200, Rams defense 3,600. If you had to choose one defense in this game, we've seen crazy things happen on showdown slates where, you know, the defense that we think is not gonna do well ends up like the optimal captain, like at halftime. You know, like we've seen random things happen, but I personally think I'm gonna go with the Bills because of the turnover possibilities from Stafford. But I'm not gonna get a lot of them. Where are you going to be? I think
yeah.
they're both under 15% owned, around that range. Are you going to try to get under that? Or are you going to try to ignore them? Because at 4,200, it's just like the kicker situation. If you do anything, maybe throw them in a couple captain spots just in case if we get a low scoring game and a pick six or something, right?
Yeah, at a 52 total, man, I'm not going to be too interested in either defense. I don't mind the Bills defense. Narrative alert. Von Miller's back, right? Or Von Miller's on the Bills now, so maybe he gets the strip sack,
Oh, there you go.
touchdown, just to take it out on the old team. But other than that, the total's too high for me. I'm not going to be interested in defense. I'll be into the field.
All right, so let's move on to our captain choice. We're going to crown their ass on DraftKings.
Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass.
I'm going with Stephon Diggs here. He's going to be slightly less owned, but he has a super high upside. Cup and Josh Allen are going to be the top two highest owned. So I'm not going to get too crazy for this game. But if I had to choose one guy that I think could come in slightly lower ownership than he should be at a good price with a high upside, Stephon Diggs is that guy. There's plenty of other guys on the lower end that or middle range price tag that I'm going to go with, and a guy like Allen Robinson, I mean, he's a perfect example.
Yeah, look, I think we might be a little on the nose with both our picks. When we start the season, I'll kind of get to gauge where the field is, right? I do expect A Rob to be a pretty chalky captain just because of his price. But yeah, we're on a slate with Cooper Cup and Josh Allen. So we could easily see both of these guys fall under, 12% captain ownership, and given their upside and their price, I just think that's silly. So that's really my reasoning behind A Rob. It's the same reason that I had to support Diggs too, but I didn't want to put both of the same wide receiver up here.
A guy like A Rob can, if he scores 2 touchdowns in his debut, you're gonna be like, oh, hey, yeah, that's about right. I'm not gonna be shocked. Fade.
Yeah.
I'm fading Akers simply because, like I said, I don't know what he's capable of yet. If he can come out and score a 2 touchdown game and look really good, then maybe I'll start rethinking that. But at 8K and the possible ownership of, well, I mean, look, he is going to be under 20% owned. So there is that whole thing about, hey, look, he might be a decent captain play, but in the flex, I don't know that I want to touch him. But I might hedge a little bit and put in a handful of Captain Akers just in case if he goes off. But you're thinking the same thing, right? I mean, fade the running backs for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, I'll have a little bit of exposure to some of these guys if it feels nice in the lineup build. But for the most part, I just think there's too many pass catchers, too many top tier pass catchers, and moderate punt plays that just make this kind of a dead zone in pricing to me.
Yeah. All right, let's get to this lineup build, guys. Let's do this. All right. So this is the optimal, right?
Yep, this is the optimal as it came out of the gate.
So before we get into
See, we
this,
got
if you guys wouldn't mind giving us a follow, we're trying to hit that 1,000 subscriber mark. We're trying to do it as quick as possible. Hopefully by, what do you think, week 4 we can probably get there. Let's try to get this.
so.
Let's try to get this 1,000 subscriber mark up as quick as possible. Hit that subscribe button. We're doing most likely three shows, maybe a little bit more per week. Every one of these island games we're going to do a show for. So if you're liking what you're hearing right now, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button, and give us a like. Let's get it to that 50 like goal. All right. So Ellie, let's start building. This is kind of the what RG is telling us is the optimal lineup here. It might change a little bit once we get inactives, obviously, but Skowronek and McKenzie are both in it. It's a stars and scrubs sort of output here with Allen at the top.
So you want to leave Josh Allen in the captain since he's probably going to be the chalkiest.
Let's do a Josh
You wanna
Allen. Let's
see
do a
what-
cup, and then let's do our two captains that we chose.
Okay. So we'll leave in Josh Allen. I think we'll leave in Cooper Kupp at flex too. You want Stephon Diggs and see where we're at?
Yeah, let's try it.
All right, so that gives us 3,500 per position for 3 spots left. So that's pretty tough.
Yeah.
All right. Do we need to go LA side first, or do you want to?
I mean, honestly, I think we should do a 2-4 here. I think we plug in 3 other LA guys in here, and we got Josh Allen a captain, and you got Diggs with them. Let's try that and see if that, because with Allen being the top 2 ownership wise at captain, I don't want to dupe, and doing a 2-4 lineup is going to make us different, but still have a decent upside.
All right, let's see what we can get here with some pricing. What does that put us in? And then we have to punt with the 200.
So you got Henderson, Higbee, 200. There's your punt. Was it Hopkins?
I like Bryson Hopkins.
Yeah.
I mean,
so this is this is a milli maker. If you want to put a guy like Josh Allen a captain, and you're in a large field contest, this is the kind of lineup that you should be building. You should not be just doing a 3-3. Everybody you're gonna split. You're gonna lose money. I mean, in theory. So that's the kind of lineup that we should be building.
Try this one more time and see where it puts us at 1,800. So I mean, if you're feeling crazy, you could do something like this. All right, but this is probably going to be fairly chalky since the leftover price is 0.
Is that Stafford?
Right,
I can't see
Diggs.
that. That's Stafford, right? Okay.
Yeah, you got Allen, Diggs, Henderson, Higbee, Stafford, Skowronek.
All right, let's build quickly. Let's build with Allen. Let's screw the stacks. Let's not even think about that. Let's just try to build the best lineup that we like.
All right, I'm still throwing in Stephon Diggs, and then
let's fade
I like
Kupp.
Isaiah McKenzie.
Let's fade Kupp in this lineup, and let's go with A-Rob. So Allen a captain, Stephon Diggs, Isaiah McKenzie, A-Rob. That leaves us, what is that, 7,200 per? That's nice. I like that. So you can go stars and scrubs. You can do like you do a Skowronek or something. If we're fading Kupp, we should probably go to a running back or Higbee maybe. Is that 11K? It was 11.6K. So Stafford with a little bit of money left over. I don't hate that at all. I don't hate that at all.
Yeah,
but see, I just don't like.
It's reasonable.
I just don't like Allen at captain for me. So let's go with the Kupp build.
Hold on, I do want to try one thing while we have him because I wanted to run a 1-5 here. I think this could be interesting.
Yes.
So I'm actually gonna leave Higbee. Let's come over here. Can we grab Kupp?
Stafford, Higbee, Kupp.
And then Skowronek, what does that leave us with? 1,400. I don't know if that's.
You're punting twice with something like this. Maybe get off of Higbee. Get rid of Skowronek. Get rid of Higbee. And go with a little bit, somebody a little bit lower. I mean, what about a guy like Tutu Atwell or Lance McCutcheon?
Yeah, I mean, any of that I think plays. I mean, even if you just wanted to do 4-2, you could come do, Ben and then hop on to the other side.
Yeah.
And just run Shakir or whatever. Anyways, okay. I guess we should probably get into another build. Who did you say you wanted to go to next?
Well, let's jump over to Cup and see what happens. Let's just build one lineup with him. In fact, I would just optimize and see what kind of builds are going to happen, and then we'll pivot off of like one or two guys. So Cup, Skoronik, McKenzie, A-Rob, Diggs, and Allen. I mean, that's going to be the most popular lineup by far.
Yeah.
And if that wins, you might lose money in the Millie Maker. You might win $10 with a $15 entry or whatever it is. So we got to mix it up. So get rid of McKenzie, get rid of Skoronik. I think it's a decent starting point. And in theory, you could get rid of A-Rob too, but maybe you go with one of these $200 guys in this situation. Go with McCutcheon or even go up to $1,000 Tutu Atwell.
Yeah, let's throw in Tutu and see what that puts us at. We got Cooper Kupp, Tutu Atwell, and then you want to come over to. I want to try and get some Cook in here.
Yeah, I like Cook a lot. I think he's solid at that price.
6,600.
66. What does that leave you?
Just shy of Dawson Knox.
Just shy. Get you Higbee, right? Yeah. See, but now we got no Stafford and we've got multiple pass catchers. Which
I guess we can go back to A-Rob.
Yeah, we could. It's just tough. It's tough. What does that leave us? 1,400. So we got to kind of punt again here with the.
But this is why 2 wide receivers.
Yeah, this is why I'm not. That's why I'm not building with him. It's just the pricing is too tight for that. So let's build with A-Rob now, because this is gonna be a lot easier for us. A-Rob at captain. Let's do both quarterbacks now. Oh, is that the opto? Henderson, McKenzie, Diggs, Kupp, and Allen. Yeah, that'll probably be a very popular lineup. But let's do both quarterbacks. Let's do Stafford. Let's do Diggs, and let's see where that leaves us.
So you got A-Rob, Stafford, Diggs, Allen.
So go with Cook. See if you can go with Cook here.
And then 6,100.
So that's a Higbee, Crowder, Henderson situation.
Yeah, I guess Higbee. I mean, look, honestly, like it's just the way that it's priced out, you're just better off doing that, and then I mean, taking out Stafford, putting in Kupp. Well, you know what if we go back to McKenzie?
Try it.
Okay, over Cook. Yeah, it's still 4,900.
Not much.
Same kind of.
You can get to Henderson, which is not bad. So you got A-Rob, you pulled out quarterback. Now you got a 2-4 or no, a 3-3 here. This is actually one of the first lineups we've done that I actually was like, okay, that's not bad.
Yeah, this isn't terrible.
All right, let's try something. Let's get a little freaky here. All right, let's erase everybody except for Robinson at captain. So let's do Singletary and Cook. Let's fade Josh Allen. Let's throw in Diggs.
Okay.
Now, where does that put us? Let's go with Kupp and see where that leaves us. Can we get Stafford? No, we can't, huh? We're just short, huh?
No. Yeah, just short. 10.8.
So you probably come off of Singletary and get Stafford. Let's just try that. Let's take off Singletary. Let's put Stafford in. And let's see where that leaves us. It's going to be another punt here. 57.
I mean, if
Higbee.
you're running
there
this,
you go.
Yeah.
It's
James
interesting.
Cook, Stephon Diggs.
It's interesting. This doesn't fit my game script. I don't think that the Rams are going to crush. But if you did think that, this might work out and have an A-Rob at the captain. So have we built a lineup that we really like with A-Rob at captain yet?
We haven't. You want to hop over to Diggs?
Yeah, let's go to Diggs and see what happens.
Okay, I don't know, man. Like I feel like it's almost easier with Diggs because I know exactly what I want to do with him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. All right. We want to throw in Cup.
Let's do it.
All right. Any other value plays that we like? I kind of still like Isaiah McKenzie for this build.
I like McKenzie.
Oh, you know who we haven't played any of?
Who?
Shakur.
Oh, Shakur.
So what if we play him instead of McKenzie? Let's
Yep.
throw in
Yep.
Stafford, 1100.
2-2. Sweeney.
Sure.
I still don't like it.
I don't hate it, but I don't like the 2 punts.
Yeah, Shakur and Atwell. I mean, that's just straight up punting right there. This is what we brought up at the beginning when it comes to quarterbacks. Let's just get rid of Stafford and start fresh here. So Diggs, Allen, Cup. That's our core. Leave Cup in. Take the rest of the guys out. Let's go middle of the road. Let's do look, we could do, if we're going to sit Stafford, you want to try out a guy like Cam Akers here?
Yeah, we haven't built with him at all, so
Let's
we
try
probably
it.
need a little bit. We're still going to need to punt, so we got Allen.
How much you got left there?
Say,
is that 4,100?
4,100 and
do a
250 per position.
Do a $200 guy and go with Matt Gay. Does that work? The math work there?
Let's see. Yeah.
So this is kind of interesting here. Like I'm kind of starting to like where we're going here. Like I said, I don't love the kickers, but like this is a little bit safer than I typically would, even though we got a guy like, was that Shakir in there? I can't see, sorry.
Yeah, that's Shakir.
Okay. Now, what if you came off of, okay, let's try this. Come off of Akers and go down to Henderson and start fresh on those last 3 spots and see what it gets us.
And we got 3650 per position. I mean,
let's go with McKenzie.
Let's see.
Right?
Yeah, we can do that. Let's see, McKenzie. At least 4,900. I mean, look, man. Hey,
McKenzie and
yeah, this isn't terrible either.
Yeah, that's a 4-2. I don't hate this. So, I mean, we got to get one lineup that we absolutely love. We got to.
All right, let me try one more thing. Okay, let's throw back. I like Shakir, and then you know what? Let's see. What does McKenzie give us? So we're still in the 9,500 range. See, that's the problem.
Okay, try this. Try this.
What do you think?
Swap out Allen. Put Allen at captain. If you're gonna do all those wide receivers, put Allen at captain, and put Diggs in the flex. And see where we're at. So Allen captain, Diggs in the flex, Cup. Let's go Shakur. Let's go McKenzie. And see what that puts us at. It's probably gonna be what, like in the 6,500 range or 6K range or something.
McKenzie, Shakur, we're at 8K.
8K.
I mean, that's Cam Akers.
Plug him in.
That's a reasonable build.
That's a reasonable build. You fade the quarterback for the Rams. You go with Cup and Akers, and then you hope Josh Allen just absolutely puts up 42 points, all passing touchdowns, kind of a thing. I will enter this lineup with Allen. I think I do like this lineup here. But this is, look, when we first started building last week, it felt like, oh, this is going to be kind of cool. But there's certain slates where you're just like, man, I don't know what the hell to do. So I don't think I'm going to hand build as much on this slate. I'm going to optimize pretty much all my lineups and really get into the details and get into the settings and let the optimizer do the work for me, because I don't think I could personally hand build and be comfortable with a lot of these lineups. What do you got there? You got 2,400 left over? Is that what that is? Hey, that's not bad at all.
I don't know. I mean, maybe Shakur, sorry, different $200 guy, but
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
We like Josh Allen. Josh Allen quarterback might work if you.
Well, it might work.
Get crazy in it.
If you can get crazy with it. So I guess the moral of the story here is really just like get weird with things. Like put in 2 running backs from the same team. Try some weird stuff, because I don't know if I really love any of the builds we did. So maybe you just want to rely on the optimizer. If you don't have an optimizer, I don't know what to tell you on this.
And rotate the pieces. They're not that expensive, man.
I mean, typically,
not the optimizer, but just rotate your pieces in. If you got Josh Allen, Cooper Kupp, and Matt Stafford in there, what pieces you can put in.
I mean, typically what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a core of like 4 guys, right? I'm going to have a captain. I'm going to have a couple guys in the flex that I want to have a core on. Sometimes I'll even have a core of 5 guys. And then I'll just rotate out that last position, or I'll rotate out those last 2 positions, and you'll end up with like 5 or 7, 8 lineups with that core, and you'll kind of rotate out those last positions. Ellie, give a little bit of, if you're just wanting a refresher, if you haven't played Showdown in a while, let's quickly just send them off with a couple of quick tips when you're getting into Showdown, and kind of the best practices when it comes to that.
Yeah, I mean, the first note is make sure you're paying attention to the inactives and who's going to finally play, right? There's going to be people that are going to be in the player pool that aren't going to be on the field. So pay attention to that. And then the other thing is a game like this is expected to be competitive. You can get different immediately by using a 4-2 or 5-1 stacks and avoiding 3-3 builds. So those are my hot notes for tonight.
It's going to be interesting. Join the Discord. Hit us up on Twitter. Ellie will be on Twitter. We'll both be in the Discord right before lock. And yeah, hit us up if you have any questions. And hey, please comment down below if we said something stupid, or if we said something that you disagree with. I want to hear what you guys have to say. I want to open up the mic and get a discussion going, because there's a lot of stuff to start the year that nobody really has a clue about. So if you guys have any insights, if you've seen some camp activity, let us know, let the other viewers know. And hey, I guess the next time we see you guys will be for Sunday Night Football. I don't even know what that game is. Do you know?
No idea, man.
No clue, but we're going to roll with it either way. I'm just happy football is back. Thank you guys so much. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Hopefully by this point we're at 50 likes. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you for Sunday Night Football.